Continental drift, the story of two mates riding from London to Sydney on KTM 690s, supported proudly by KTM, Rally Raid Products, Adventure Moto in Australia and Adventure Spec in England.
I've just spoken to a Russian back there, and he went, da, 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 da. This is Volgograd, this way. Ah, there's a sign.
Hey, I see a sign, Dave.
I see a sign.
It must be Jesus. Jesus is in Volgograd.
Although our spirits were high as we entered the industrial city of Volgograd, we soon discovered the memories of the Second World War in this city were still very raw.
And while the Russian people might be some of the friendliest, loving people we've met on this trip, everywhere are reminders of tragedy and sadness which the war has brought to Volgograd. You don't have to look too far to find evidence of war.
One of the bloodiest battles in the history of warfare took place in this city. And to commemorate the resolve of the Russian people, the massive Mother Russia was constructed. In the winter of 1942, nearly 2 million people lost their lives over a 6-month period in the Battle of Stalingrad. The Germans had underestimated the ferocity of the Russian winter and the resolve of the Russian people, and suffered losses so heavy that it is defined as a turning point in the war.
I can't recall a sculpture affecting me emotionally like this one. This symbol behind me, this massive symbol, is such a powerful example of motivation, of moving forward in front of adversity. This is Mother Russia with all its might, and this statue, which must be 20 stories high, tells it all in such a powerful way.
We saw a lovely bit of symbolism and nationalism yesterday that I've hoped, and that was very uplifting. But the roads aren't, and what scares me is today we have to ride 870 kilometres to reach our destination and within striking distance of Kazakhstan. And on roads like this, I think it's going to be a long day.
We were making good time, but with about 400 kilometres to Samara, disaster struck. My bloody fuel pump packed it in.
This is not a good time for this to happen. I've got dodgy fuel and the engine's just died. It kept going for a while, but it just couldn't keep going. So this is going to be a big day now. Anyway, here we go.
Fortunately, we bumped into the two Johns, John Pullen on the left and John Midgley on the right. These Yorkshire riders would be accompanying us through China. We had a go at replacing the pump, but we just didn't have enough knowledge, and we decided the only option was to tow the bike to Samara, 400 kilometres away. John Pullen volunteered for what we reckon was a world record bike-on-bike tow. My only friend was a thin piece of green parachute cord that would save me walking the bike to Samara. One day of long hard riding had now transformed into a 2-day nightmare. For both John and I, the challenge of towing was physically draining. We towed well into the evening until a near miss between two oncoming trucks saw us rest before heading off early in the morning. But not before Darren would suffer what we would later call fuel pump anxiety.
The only thing I forgot to pack was this, and there may be a reason for this. I'm still in the crap. We're about 100 kilometres from Samara and I still haven't got the bike fixed. The fuel injection is still playing up on me, or fuel pump. We're going into Samara. There is a motorcycle dealer there. We don't know much about it though, and we don't know their skills, and we've got the language problem. So today is going to be a challenging day.
It's funny how things change. I was now liking boring, flat, straight roads.
This little towing exercise has been a bit longer than we thought. At the end of the day, it'll be like we've towed the bike from London to Paris.
And our luck changed. We arrived in Samara completely stuffed, but within minutes we found ourselves falling on our feet.
We're desperately looking around for accommodation, but you wouldn't believe what's rocked up. This guy on a KTM 990, and he's got a KTM mechanic. Now, I think we've kicked a goal, an impossibly difficult goal, but things are looking up.
Alex, the mechanic, our Russian angel, got us out of the crap and had the bike up and running in about 15 minutes.
Renner just riding past and sees that we're in trouble. Part of the KTM family.
KTM is the best bike.
Say it again.
Especially for Russia, KTM is the best bike for our roads.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Well, here's the offending article. Alex made it look easy. Dave, lesson learnt, mate.
I love KTM.
And I love Russia.
Thank you, Alex.
You know, sometimes it's amazing in life. Sometimes bad things can come your way, but as a result, good things can happen to you, and you can meet nice people. So if you find yourself in trouble, always think there could be a happy ending.
And there was a happy ending. Renard and his wife Svetlana and daughter Anastasia generously brought us into their lives.
Rags to riches story continues. Here we are on the mighty Volga. Anastasia.
Life can be tough, but then life can be easy sometimes as well. And I don't mind the easy way.
Well, after a day like that, it's hard to think about boring but vital logistics.
Basically, when we organised the tyres for Samara, we organised 2 rear tyres, but it appears that the second rear tyre isn't here. This could put a little bit of pressure on us because we're not sure that this tyre is going to last for the best part of a month on dirt, so a little bit concerned.
We hopped back on that roller coaster of fortune that over the coming week would take us to the limits of our determination and resolve.
We're just 10 kilometres from the Kazakhstan border, and Darren and I have been dreaming and talking and planning about riding through Kazakhstan for about 18 months. So we don't quite know what's over that horizon, but we look forward to it and hopefully more adventure.
But the laws of adventure are clear. Despite your best laid plans, a kick in the guts is always waiting around the corner. And it's how you deal with that kick in the guts that defines the course and reward of your adventure.
We had a pretty devastating border crossing there, or lack of it I should say. Dave, what happened, mate?
Well, we're expecting to get into Kazakhstan, but because I had that breakdown on the bike that took us 2 days to tow it into Samara, we overextended our visa, and they've sent us back to Samara.
Which is over 300 k's away. The federal immigration services aren't open tomorrow, so the earliest we're going to be crossing is maybe late Thursday or early Friday. So this does put our schedule out by some considerable margin, and maybe even jeopardises the trip.
But once back in Samara, we found ourselves in deep trouble. The Russians view visa overstay as very serious. They were not interested in excuses as to why we were late, and we were initially threatened with 5 years jail, which was later reduced to 2 years. But fortunately, Renat came to our rescue. After all, he had witnessed my breakdown and could explain to authorities what had happened. But despite his help, we had to sign confessions written in Russian that could have said anything, and we were still fingerprinted, charged and fined for our overstay. This had to be one of the most stressful days in our lives, and I'm sure if it wasn't for Renat, the trip would have been over, and Darren and I may have been involuntarily dining in a Russian gulag for a couple of years.
Just stopped off at a petrol station for a quick drink. Dave's currently nil by mouth at the moment because he's got a bit of anxiety tummy. It's take 2 on the Kazakh-Russian border crossing. Let's hope it goes better than the last time.
That afternoon we made it into Kazakhstan and a celebration was in order. We now had 2 weeks to get to the Chinese border and we really couldn't afford anything else going wrong.
We're about 10 kilometres inside the Kazakhstan border, and after the last couple of days this comes with great relief. The Russian crossing took us about 5 minutes, I think, and Kazakhstan was just a little fiddle, nothing much at all when the computer went down.
Map. Oh, thank you, Carter.
This is a small present special for you.
The Kazakh people are generous and keen to help, and Kaiser went that extra step to ensure Darren and I were on the right track.
Kaisar. I told you.
Now heading in the right direction, as evening fell, we decided to make the mighty step, that huge flat expanse of grassland that had now been with us for 2 weeks, our bed for the night.
Morning.
Well, last night I finished riding about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I found this track about a kilometre off the road and got our heads down. Wasn't too bad a night. A little bit of mozzie interference, but apart from that it was good. So it's about 6:30 in the morning and we're going to make our way further east into Kazakhstan.
The pressure was now on to make up time, and the plan was that we would ride 700 kilometres per day for 3 days to get back on schedule. Otherwise, the China border crossing would be in jeopardy, and if we couldn't get through China, the trip would be over. Big distances on long, boring straight roads in the hot sun really takes it out of you, particularly when you've got to back it up for 3 days in a row. And around midday, we took a break. The middle of the day is pretty hot in Kazakhstan, and we were lucky to find this culvert. It's an ideal place to escape from the sun and just chill out for a while. There's no trees around here for any shade.
It have to be the hardest bread I've ever had to eat. Let's just do that with an action replay. We actually, fortunately the sausage was so greasy that it softened the bread and made it possible to digest it, or we think digest it.
Back on the road and making up time, or so we thought, but an adventure wildcard was heading our way.
Didn't we? We'll be doing this at about 11 o'clock at night. Unfortunately, the fuel pump gremlins have got me now, and my fuel pump's gone, or we think it is. All the same characteristics as Dave's bike.
Good news is, we've made new friends. Of Kazakhstan, yo!
Oh yeah, this kind gentleman has allowed us to use his garden, and put it down that way. Allowed us to use his garden, and he's going to put us up in his house for the night. So I think we've had some bad luck. We've also had some bloody good luck as well. And as long as they come in equal measure, well, you can't really complain, mate. Dave, what's the latest?
This is like some sort of the adventures of Tintin or something. This is frigging crazy.
This is almost
absolutely crazy.
It's like a torture show, isn't it?
It's a torture show. Like these people, we knock on their door, say, look, could we use their light, and then the next thing they're saying, oh, would you like some dinner? Would you like a cup of tea? Please come and stay in our house. I mean, you know, if there's an upside to this debacle, it's the kindness shown by people. It's just amazing. I'm very humbled by it.
Me too.
I'm very humbled by it.
I wonder if I'd do the same thing if I was in their position.
I was reflecting, this is going to make me a better person. It really is. No, I'm serious.
I know, I almost feel tearful there.
I do feel tearful there. I just can't believe how kind people can be.
That night I managed to get Darren's bike going, and in the morning we headed off, but it wasn't long before the fuel pump died again. It needed replacement. And there's not too many motorcycle shops on the Stans. Without a new part, our trip was over.